A specific, heavy silence falls over a marriage right before it ends. This quiet isn't a bad day. It carries a weight of finality. For years, the woman likely acted as the relationship's emotional manager. When she pointed out a growing drift or tried to problem solve, she was frequently dismissed and labeled as nagging or difficult. Eventually, the vocal requests stop. Partners often look at this sudden lack of conflict and assume the marriage has reached a state of peace, mistaking her silence for contentment. This silence signals a terminal symptom of the relationship. It is a mechanism of self-preservation, developed after years of being unheard. The process begins with a painful adaptation. To avoid being a nuisance, she shrinks her own needs. She asks for less time, attempting to be easier to love. When she finally stops asking altogether, her care remains, but her belief has vanished. She has reached the conclusion that her efforts no longer influence her partner's behavior. This forces a pivot. She stops trying to repair the external dynamics of the marriage and turns her focus inward. She decides the only thing left to manage is her own reaction to the neglect. This vacuum of effort marks the death of the relationship's fantasy. She is accepting a reality where her presence and needs go unacknowledged. This imbalance occurs when one person operates as the unrecognized CEO of the emotional climate. She is the one maintaining the marriage's ecosystem, while the other side of the scale remains empty. The strain comes from the invisible tasks required to sustain this system. She manages the kids' schedules, the family holidays, and the feelings of everyone in the house before her own. When exhaustion hits, she may receive rescue help instead of genuine partnership. Because she still has to issue the instructions and oversee the execution, the managerial burden never actually leaves her shoulders. Eventually, she hits a breaking point and ceases production. She drops the mental load and stops the reminders, intentionally allowing the system to fail. The resulting collapse proves that the marriage was a one-person show. This realization alters her understanding of her role in the household. While she is still physically present in the house, the emotional labor of the breakup has already begun. She processes the grief and reaches acceptance in the spaces between their daily interactions. The end arrives without screaming matches or ultimatums. She views words as tools for negotiation, and she has finished negotiating. She pre-grieves the relationship to build a tactical shield. By imagining a life alone, she protects herself from the disappointment of any future promises to change. Verbalizing the actual departure feels redundant. Saying, "I am leaving," merely announces a funeral that took place months ago. The physical or emotional departure finally occurs. It happens without fanfare or the explosive conflict typical of many breakups. The partner often expresses shock, claiming they never saw it coming. This claim ignores the years of vocalized warnings and clear signs of distress that defines the earlier marriage. This lack of visible conflict in the final months often leads onlookers to label the woman as cruel or manipulative. Because she stopped nagging long ago, they interpret her sudden absence as a betrayal rather than the end of a long withdrawal. This quiet exit serves as a necessary shield. She is protecting her remaining energy and enforcing boundaries that were ignored for years. Dropping the invisible labor allows her to reclaim an individual identity. Without the constant drain of the marriage, she can remember who she was before she began shrinking. If you are currently sitting in this silence, it is a sign of strength. It is the sound of you finally listening to your own needs. Start by acknowledging the reality of the situation to yourself. Seek external support to gain perspective on the relationship and begin reconnecting with the interests you set aside. You deserve a life where you are seen and heard. For those wondering what happened to their partner, listen to the quiet. It is the loudest cry for help you will ever hear.